¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify, spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.
Everything for us was this offseason, it was about the mental deal. We were physically where we need to be. Again, we got big, strong kids, all those things. So could we train their mind, within the physical deal? So putting them through tough things, putting them through hard deals. And for me, it wasn't the physical this offseason. It was more so of the mental capacity.
Today, we spotlight a program operating at the highest level of high school football and a young head coach who is rapidly becoming one of the game's elite leaders. Our National Coach of the Week is Santavious Bryant, head coach of the Grayson Rams, the number 1 team in Georgia and number 2 nationally in the Max Preps rankings. Grayson enters the postseason at 10-0, the defending Georgia 6A state champions, and playing with the kind of discipline, speed, and confidence that reflects their head coach. Coach Bryant began his coaching career at Wheeler, later joined Grayson's staff in 2019, spent 2022 at Gainesville as the defensive passing game coordinator, and returned to Grayson in 2023 to take over the program at just 28 years old. In 3 seasons, he's 35-3 overall, has a semifinal appearance and a state championship under his belt. This is a program built on preparation, detail, and the ability to teach the game with precision. When we're talking about precision, that's exactly where Modern Football Technology, our presenting sponsor, gives coaches an edge. Because when you turn your team's data into real-time insights, your tendencies as well as your opponents allow you to coach with more clarity, and your players respond and adjust faster. That's what elite programs are doing each week, teaching with cleaner information and making better decisions in real time. To coach with that same level of insight, visit modernfootball.com and see how programs across the country are tightening their game plans, accelerating their adjustments, and putting themselves in position to win. We're back for another episode of National Coach of the Week presented by Modern Football Technology. And joining me today is the head coach of the Grayson Rams, number 1 team in Georgia, number 2 team in the country right now on Max Preps, head coach Santavious Bryant. Coach, great to have you here and congratulations on a great season so far.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's definitely an honor to be able to come on here and do this. So, appreciate the recognition for our program.
Absolutely. 10-0 season, a perfect regular season, heading into the playoffs here. Obviously, the work is not done. Defending a state championship, all kinds of big things ahead of you guys. But this is a collective effort, obviously. So we'd love to give you the opportunity to just talk about your staff and program and how they've contributed to this success.
Yes. Well, I'll first start off by just thanking our admin. Again, they do a tremendous job with our program, both on and off the field, with being an extension of our coaching staff in the school building, the things that we're able to provide for our kids academically. Something that's setting our kids up for much success, not only while they're here, but once they leave us to go to the next level. So starting with them is huge. Again, our community support is something that's huge. Again, our community loves Grayson football. We have big influential people in our community that, pour support into our program. When our kids see that, and they also see their impact that we have in our community with our younger generation that look up to a bunch of our players. Next to our coaching staff, they do a tremendous job. Again, we spend a bunch of time, put a bunch of hours into this. So again, to them and to their families, I'm always appreciative because again, they're the ones that, make this thing go. I couldn't do it by myself. And also our players, the work that they put in, do everything that we ask them to do. They show up, they work hard, they do things the right way. And then they're receiving the fruits of their labor, things that we've done, since last January to be able to put ourselves in position to be able to have the success. So again, I attribute them for showing up every single day and, staying consistent because again, in our today's generation, today's youth, that's something that's very foreign, to be able to show up every day and be consistent. Our kids are mastering that.
You guys are playing at a high level of the game. As I said, defending state champs, number 2 in the country right now, Max Press, number 1 in Georgia. Obviously, that goes to the development of your program, something that you and I talked a little bit about before we got going here. We'd love to hear your philosophy and how you approach total program development.
And development is something that we're going to hang our hat on here. And, it's something that we believe in. And I'll get our coaches to believe in and get everybody that's part of our program to believe in. Again, we talk about total development. We're talking about, both on the field and off the field, what type of people are we developing, what type of students are we developing, what type of leadership skills are our kids getting, and then what we do athletically to develop our kids. It's something I like to think is second to none. So again, getting everybody to buy into that deal of development, again, right now in our society, again, it's an instant gratification deal going on right now. So again, a lot of people don't want to wait. A lot of people don't want to wait their turn. A lot of people don't want to go through the hard things to get what they need. And again, we're able to get our kids to buy into doing that. So again, we're getting them to buy into total development. Our staff's also buying into total development for us. Put a bunch on my staff, and I want them to understand that, again, a lot of these kids' lives and futures are in our hands. So again, we need to do everything in our power to make sure that they're getting everything that they need. They're getting everything and put in the right situations that they need to be put in for them to have success in lives and to accomplish the dreams and the goals that they want to accomplish. So again, with that, man, we're always finding ways to get better, always finding ways to sharpen our edge, always finding ways to develop our kids. And I think that has impacted us tremendously and allowed our program to take off.
Let's talk about the staff first. Obviously, everything is driven by what they do. And if the focus on them is also development, I think you're going to get that from your players as well. So talk to us about the things you do to develop the staff and continue to grow both as individual coaches and as the collective group of coaches.
First off, one thing we have to do is got to be a tight-knit staff. We got to love each other. We got to like being around each other. And again, we embody that. We're able to come into the office and joke around and laugh and, just have a good time. But at the same time, we're able to develop those relationships. So again, there are moments where we are hard on each other. We do provide constructive criticism to each other. And again, no matter which way that may come out, we all know that it's all love. So if it's an offense, defense deal on the field in practice, we're all getting after each other. We're all going back and forth. We're all sharpening each other's edge. But again, we're able to walk off that field and know, hey, we're going to be better because of it on that Friday when we get out there. So again, we do things in the off season, just making sure that everybody understands our goals, objectives. Everybody understands the message that we want to get to our kids. And again, what I tell them is, it's going to be the message that I want to get received, but you guys got to be the one that gets the kids to buy into it and get them to receive it. You're doing that every day in your position groups, every day in your meetings, every day in your indie drills, those type of things. You're preaching that message to those kids over and over and over and over and over. And again, if we can all preach one common message, one common goal, one common way to do things, now those kids have heard that a million and one times, and that's what's going to create the buy-in. So again, it creates a standard for our program. It creates an alignment for our program, which allows us to now, hold ourselves accountable, also hold our kids accountable with, hey, here's the way that we're going to do things. Here's how it's going to get done. Here's what we believe in. And again, some people may have different beliefs, but hey, while we're up under this program, here's how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to believe in it. And it creates just one team and one goal.
Looking at this past season, you win the state championship. What do you feel is maybe one of the best things you did this offseason to develop your staff, to develop that, and to be able to take, obviously, the program to the next level?
One of the biggest things I would say, something we tried a little different this year, you always try to preach the off-the-field messages and those types of deals, your character development side of your program and all those things. In the past, that was something that, I solely did myself, and I would be up in front of the team, that type of deal, giving it to them. This offseason, we kind of went to a deal to where we all kind of split up on the teams as a staff, with offensive coaches, defensive coaches, everybody kind of mixed in together. And we went through all of our core values and those type things, and we split them up. And, different staff members were required to present different things to our kids. And what that did was just kind of let them know that it's important to everybody and allowed them to be able to hear other voices, allowed them to be able to hear, different ways of saying something. I think the same messages that I'm saying, but it just maybe have a different way they're saying that they may stick. So again, we were able to let our coaches go and take full control of that and, put the things on it that they felt was important, that align with our core values and, present those to our kids. But they were also able to work together in groups with each other, and figure out, hey, okay, how does he look at it? And how can we bridge that gap and make it, our message from multiple different ways, but they're still getting a common message, but they're just hearing it a couple different ways that allow it to just resonate with them.
Yeah, I think that being able to get that perspective, both of the coaches interacting with each other, you have a big staff, 18 guys on your staff, as well as the players hearing from somebody other than you and maybe the voice that they hear from in their position room all the time. I think, seeing that not only is my coach bought in, these other guys are too, I think is important as you bring that together and you hit the season. Just a quick break from our conversation with Coach Santavious Bryant. Our National Coach of the Week program is brought to you by Modern Football Technology, the platform that's changing how coaches see the game. Modern Football turns your team's data into real-time insight, helping you make faster, smarter decisions on game day. From play efficiency to live drive summaries, it delivers the information that matters when it matters. Visit modernfootball.com to schedule your demo and gain your team's winning edge. So, Coach, let's talk about the other side of that, the player development. You said you believe you get what you guys do is second to none. What are some of those key pillars that are behind the player development that you guys are hanging your hat on?
Again, first, it's all going to be built on relationships. I want everybody in our building to have positive relationships with each other. I want everybody in our building to care for each other. And, it has to start there and build from that again. Because if you don't truly care about the person next to them, it's not really much that you would do for them. On the other end of it, if you do care for somebody, there ain't much that you won't do for them. So again, we start there while just building relationships. Like I said, that's players with players, that's staff with staff. That's also players with staff. So that's allowing everybody to be able to build relationships. And again, once you truly know somebody, now you can receive messages from them. Now you can take constructive criticism from them. We want to do those things not only on the field, but find ways to develop relationships off the field. Doing that with our kids allows them to be able to grow, but then also, like I say, impacting them as a student, taking the classroom very serious. Again, our goal is for every kid in our program to go, have the opportunity to play the next level if that's what they choose to do in life. We also want every kid that our program that doesn't go play at the next level because of, football, to have a chance to go to the next level academically. So again, that's something that we're huge on, our kids' academics and pushing them forward and knowing, hey, here's what we want you guys to do in the classroom. Here's what it should look like, modeling that for them, giving them real life examples, but also, we set that standard for them. Now being able to hold them accountable to that all year, impacting them as students is something that's huge. Being able to put them in leadership roles and leadership deals out in our community, whether that's impacting our youth or, doing different things, engaging in our community different ways. Also finding ways to help them grow around each other, whether that's just in the locker room, being able to provide leadership roles in the weight room, just all different phases that we could provide those things. So developing our kids as leaders, and again, trying to get them to understand that leadership doesn't mean that you have to play 1,000 snaps. Leadership doesn't mean that you have to be the best player on the team. I'm not looking for that. I want everybody in our program to have leadership qualities and leadership skills. So again, can we develop our whole team with those leadership qualities and leadership skills, and not just hey, these are our top 5 best players. We want those guys to be our leaders. Well, no, I want everybody to have a leadership skills, because again, one day they're going to be running a business. One day they're going to be, husbands, fathers, all those type of things. And you need leadership qualities to be able to navigate this real world. So again, providing them with that, and developing kids is, as leaders, also being able to impact them as athletes. So the things that we're doing in the weight room, our strength and conditioning, our speed program, the X and O sides of things, the mental side of the X's and O's. So being able to put them in different ways. And again, each position group and each position coach is required to, that's your deal. You take over that, and we do things as a group setting, both offensively and defensively, and also special teams, but also with your group every day. You're required to grow your group. And that's something I put on our staff, and I tell them that they have to take ownership of and hold each other accountable with is, hey, here's what every group wants to do. Here's goals that every group has. All right, well, can I get those things accomplished within my group? But then can I also help the group next to me accomplish those goals that they have? So again, it's just a bunch of different ways, man, to build our kids and put them in different situations that traditionally wouldn't be put in.
Again, the 2024 season ends, 2025 off-season starts. You got to defend that state championship. What do you feel are the best 1 or 2 things you guys did to physically develop your athletes in the off-season?
Everything for us was, for me, this offseason, it was about the mental deal. For us, we're physically where we need to be. Again, we've got big, strong kids, all those things. But again, for us, it's that mental aspect. So could we train their mind, within the physical deal? So putting them through tough things, putting them through hard deals, knowing that, hey, here's what it should look like. And when we got to those moments where it didn't look what it looked like, what it was supposed to look like, hey, can we model? Can we show them what it's supposed to look like? Hey, can we show them in those moments what the leadership should look like? Can we show them in those moments what the body language should look like? And getting to grow them up that way, where again, we had talented kids coming back. But again, we lost a lot of production and a lot of good spots. And for me, it wasn't the physical this offseason. It was more so of the mental capacity this offseason.
What's one of those things maybe you put them through that was testing them in that way?
For us, it's it wouldn't just be one thing I could say. It would be more so of everything, where everything's detail oriented. First off, showing them how to do these things and showing them exactly what we want, exactly what it should look like. And then now hold them accountable every chance that you get when it's not what it's supposed to be. right? And being able to get them to go to certain limits that they can go to, right? And knock that wall down and keep going, but at the same time, the right way though. You know what I'm saying? When you get to these moments, hey, here's how we get through it. Here's how we knock this wall down. Here's how we go forward. Watching them growing through that this offseason, we've seen it tremendously in our season this year with injuries, with close games, with all these different things. And people are so amazed because it's like, hey, you still got kids stepping up and taking over and taking on roles during the year. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because of the things they went through in the offseason, so they're prepared for it.
Coach, let's take that at practice and, again, developing your players physically, but also I imagine that continues that side, right, of how you're going to prepare them to face tough situations that happen in the games. Again, talk a little bit about that and how those things show up in practice.
So, again, to be able to get them to where they need to be in the game, they got to be able to face chaos in practice. They got to be able to face tough, hard moments in practice. And again, for me and my staff, it's about being able to create those moments even when they're not there. How can we put pressure on them to add those chaotic situations so when we do get to a Friday, this isn't the first time that you've, had someone yelling in your ear. This isn't the first time that you've had to walk away from, somebody that maybe that gets up and pushes you in the back, all these different types of things. So again, can we find ways as a staff to put our kids in those adverse situations Monday through Thursday? Or can we create those adverse situations Monday through Thursday? So now when we get to a Friday, we're prepared. That's something that we've already saw. That's something that we've already heard. And I tell our kids, it's not going to be much that a kid out there can say to you that you hadn't heard over here already. So, you know what I'm saying? Or it's not going to be much that can be done to you that you hadn't already gone through. So again, when you get to a Friday, it's like, man, this is easy. Being able to go good on good in practice, being able to create tough physical practices, that prepares us again for physical moments. And I think you see it in the style of ball that we play, to where we're able to go out there and it's a little different style of ball than you see most places. Being able to create that during the week, and then now they get to go out there on Friday and just show it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to inject some of that adversity, test some of those things throughout practice. Your kids who maybe can get a little heated and fly off the handle. I can think of one coach back when I was coaching high school ball. I had a middle linebacker, fullback who was he was on a hair trigger. He was always ready to
Yeah.
So I would tell a sophomore on scout team, hey, I want you to hold him the whole
Absolutely.
play. Yeah. And he'd be like, you want me to do what? I'm like, I got your back. I got you.
Absolutely.
He's ready for him to. So you got to test them, though. I mean, to me, it's understanding the kids you have and how do you prepare them. You could say, oh, well, I told them so. But I think you can test a lot of things in practice. And I think that's our job as coaches. How do we test those kids so the first time isn't under the lights?
Absolutely. That's something that we want. Like I said, I don't want our kids to ever get in a situation that they have not been taught or they're not prepared for. Because again, I'm a firm believer. If I have not taught them, I haven't prepared them, that all falls on me. And I've been there at that point in my career before. We've gotten in situations and I didn't have our kids the most prepared, and it came back to bite us. So again, from that day forward, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that every situation that we can think of that can come up, or every adverse moment that can come up, we find a way to put our kids through it, in a low stakes setting where it's not going to cost us a bunch of deal, but we can teach them and grow them through it. No matter response, we can teach them and grow them through it. And then, hey, when we get out here on Friday, now it's not going to cost us.
Great stuff, Coach. I appreciate you sharing some insight on your program, how you guys do things. Congratulations again on the honor, and best of luck to you and the Rams as you work on defending your state championship here in the playoffs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Coach Santavious Bryant has Grayson right where elite programs expect to be this time of year. Unbeaten, locked in, and built for a postseason run. His leadership, his staff's preparation, and the standard they've set inside the building continue to show why Grayson is one of the premier programs in the country. If you want that same level of clarity and confidence in your program, it starts with understanding your team and teaching the game with real-time information. That's what modern football technology delivers. Modern football turns your team's data, not generic stats, not opponents' numbers, but data from your film, practice reps, and in-game into instant, actionable insights. Coaches from across the country use it to tighten game plans, teach cleaner, and make faster decisions on Friday night. See why programs at every level are adopting it. Visit modernfootball.com and schedule your demo today.